Batman has been kicking it in DC Comics since 1939, and with a continuity as confusing as DC's, he has gone through quite a few interesting retcons. Batman has received a few origin stories over the years the character has been around, but of them all, Batman Year One may be the best. Very similar to Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, the story shows Bruce Wayne returning to Gotham City after his many years traveling the globe and training with many different masters. He comes in with a roughed out idea for how to bring justice to Gotham, and the story ends with him setting out goals and having a defined mission. But before he has that, Bruce goes out into the streets of Gotham without a costume and trying to fight crime, and as you might expect, he gets pretty thoroughly thrashed. Bruce goes back home, not doing too well physically, and he takes a little bit of a rest in his father's chair. As he dwells on the passing of his parents and asking for a sign of what he must do, through the night, a literal bat comes crashing through his window, and that is why he becomes Batman. It's iconic. Well, in Batman Court of Owls, that iconic image is defouled by the arrival of an owl that pretty brutally wipes that bat from the face of the earth. Considering the Court of Owls' role in the story, it's impossible to argue that it's not a rather on-the-nose attempt at symbolism, but there are some that absolutely hate that DC did this, and there are also some that appreciate the power of the new image. Now, Alfred Pennyworth is the key member of the Bat family. Batman may be the Bat family namesake, but Alfred is the sticky glue that holds them all together. He's a father figure, mentor, a helping hand, and a dear trusted friend who has been in Bruce Wayne's life from the time Master Wayne was born. Well, actually no, that was not always the case. Back in Batman number 16 from 1943 is when the character of Alfred actually showed up on the doorstep of Bruce Wayne, not as a returning childhood butler, but as a disheveled and disgraced valet who had come to serve Bruce as part of Bruce's father's dying wish. Alfred was a completely new hire for Bruce Wayne. This eventually got retconned to make it so Alfred had always been within the Wayne family from way back in the day, and I think all of us are very happy that the change was made and stuck. When Batman became the God of Knowledge by sitting on the Mobius chair during the Darkseid War event in Justice League Volume 2 number 42 from 2015, he became able to find out the answer to pretty much any question he asked, and one of the first things he wanted to know was the true identity of his archenemy, the Joker. To his surprise, the chair informed him that the Joker was actually 3 different men. Now, this was never really explored in main continuity, but in the Black Label story, The Three Jokers, we learn that the reason the Joker acts so different depending on the day is that Batman has been dealing with 3 different Jokers, known as the Clown, who was the Joker who took out Jason Todd, the Comedian, the Joker who paralyzed Barbara Gordon, and the Criminal, who seems to be the Golden Age version of the character. The writer, Jeff Johns, stated that because it was so revolutionary, it would be out of canon with the option of bringing it into the main universe once fans inevitably loved it, comparing his story to Alan Moore's The Killing Joke, which went through a similar process. Personally, I think it's best this stays in Elseworlds, as it just opens up way too many questions about Batman's already weird continuity. Now, Batman has many iconic villains like the Joker, and all of them stick out in their own individual ways, but there is a strong case to say that Mr. Freeze may actually be one of the most iconic. It may be due to some iconic Batman cartoons, but it's more so to do with the fact that Mr. Freeze has a more understandable motive to commit crime than a lot of Batman's other villains, saving the life of his wife. It's so understandable that while Batman still attempts to stop Freeze, he still finds himself empathizing with the villain in a way that he doesn't with a lot of other villains. So, it came as a shock to a lot of people when the New 52 came about and Scott Snyder retconned the continuity so that Mr. Freeze's beloved Nora Freeze became Nora Fields, and Mr. Freeze had actually never even met her while she was living normally. As you can imagine, people were not happy about this, and imagining Nora not as Freeze's wife is just wrong. It's just wrong, man. Now, Batman has a huge plethora of fantastic stories. There are so many iconic ones, and Batman Hush is definitely among them. Striking at the childhood of Bruce Wayne's life with the return of a friend and a mysterious new villain who puts Batman through the ringer, it's a story that features almost all of Batman's biggest villains and hits at almost his entire history. One of the highlights of the story was a fight taking place in a cemetery where Jason Todd, Batman's second doomed Robin, reveals himself to be returned from the grave. The pair face off against each other, and it's eventually revealed that this was actually just the villain Clayface taking on the appearance of Jason to just really mess with Batman. What's crazy is how Batman knew Jason had passed away, but he was still pretty suspicious that this was actually him because he was really giving Batman a run for his money during the fight. Well, then we got Batman Annual Volume 1 number 25, and it was revealed and retconned that Batman was indeed fighting the revived Jason Todd, and that he and Clayface had managed to trade places near the end of the fight, keeping Batman unaware that the real Jason Todd was running around alive and much stronger. Now, like I said way before, Year 1 was Batman's greatest origin story, but it really only gave Batman his origin and didn't show us how Gotham got all its colorfully dressed lunatics. Enter The Long Halloween. The Long Halloween takes place over several months and goes through all the seasons. It starts with Bruce being pressured by Carmine Falcone to launder money for him. Bruce then runs into a beaten up Harvey Dent, meets Catwoman, then meets up with Jim Gordon and Dent, who decide to band together to take down Falcone. The scene was actually adapted into 2008's The Dark Knight, but the best moment from the story happens near the middle. This is when the Joker shows up. Joker ends up sending a whole aeroplane careening through the Gotham night, and it leads to an incredibly awesome fight where Batman battles him while also attempting to straighten out the plane and save everyone from being injured. It's amazing. So where's the retcon? Well, this entire sequence was completely taken out of continuity by the Infinite Crisis event, which rewrote various aspects of the previous timeline. Boo. Dick Grayson was the first Robin, and he was an amazing Robin, but his story got so much better when he rose above being a sidekick and became his own hero in the form of Nightwing. The growth and agency that Grayson gets from growing up and moving past being the boy wonder on his own to become Nightwing makes the character just so much more. So naturally, one of the most hated retcons for fans of both Batman and Nightwing was when DC made it so that Batman fires Dick Grayson as Robin rather than having the future Nightwing make the decision for himself. The post-crisis version of events sees Bruce push Grayson away as Robin, culminating in Batman Volume 1 number 416 from 1988, where the firing first took place. The event was mirrored in Nightwing Volume 4 number 79 more recently, where Bruce yells at Grayson to get out of my cave, which kind of made me laugh, if I'm honest, when I first saw it. It's both really strange to see Bruce being such an absolute jerk, but like I said, it also took all of Dick Grayson's agency in forging his own identity away from Batman. One of the best Batman villains to come out of his 70s gritty rebranding was the infamous Ra's al Ghul. First appearing in the story Daughter of the Demon, Al Ghul shows up in the Batcave one day saying he has kidnapped Robin. Immediately, this sets Ra's apart from the criminals Batman is used to dealing with. Now, naturally, Batman saves Robin while also faking the passing of his alter ego Bruce Wayne. So now, Batman takes the fight back to Ra's al Ghul. Bruce and Robin track him down to the desert where Ra's and Talia al Ghul are attempting to create a plague to wipe out the Earth's population. Ra's gets resurrected by the Lazarus Pits, and the Dark Knight, who was shirtless for some reason but not tightless, like he still had the bottoms on, and the Demon's Head engage in a battle of fisticuffs. Ra's manages to defeat Batman but gets bamboozled when Batman recovers and tracks Ra's back to his camp. Batman comes busting into Ra's tent, taking the villain completely off guard as he yells, "Are you a man or a fiend from hell?" It's iconic. It sets Batman as a strategist and combatant that he hadn't really been before, and the whole thing was wiped out from canon by Crisis on Infinite Earths. When the DC universe rebooted into the New 52 continuity, DC changed the continuity so that the Justice League had only been operating for 5 years, and now all the heroes were quite a bit younger. This, unfortunately, causes some problems, specifically for Batman and his Robins. If they had wanted to start the New 52 with Batman working solo, or with just Dick Grayson still being Robin, this probably would have worked. But DC wanted a younger Batman while still having characters like Nightwing and Jason Todd established in their roles. Enter retcons. Grayson and Jason Todd got away relatively unscathed, but Tim Drake got the short end of the stick. Tim, the third Robin, was originally introduced after Jason Todd had passed away at the hands of the Joker. Batman was acting recklessly, and Tim deduced that Batman was Bruce Wayne, and believing that Batman needs a Robin to temper his aggression, he asked Dick Grayson to become Robin again, but ended up getting the gig himself. Well, in the New 52 canon, he never quite figured out Batman's identity and was never actually Robin. Instead, he had just just always been Red Robin. And fans hated this so much that his original origin was eventually put back into canon. Another consequence of New 52 was that in order to explain how Batman had a 10-year-old son, Damian was also retconned to be a genetically engineered baby who had grown faster than normal. It's weird. Now, one of the key defining attributes of the Caped Crusader is his no-killing policy. Batman refuses to take a life, even famously repeatedly letting the Joker live despite all the horrible crimes he continues to commit, even against Batman's own Bat family. Batman just has to believe that these criminals can be rehabilitated, so it's always a shock to fans of the character when they take a look at his earliest comics and see the Dark Knight strapped with a gat, taking pot shots at criminals left, right, and center. Batman, alongside a lot of other Golden Age heroes, had quite the itchy trigger finger. Now, admittedly, this was before the end of World War II, and once that conflict ended, comic books saw a big old conservative crackdown that eliminated Batman's affection for lead and turned him into the guy who drawed the line at just beating criminals to the very brink of death, but not actually ending their lives, just putting them in the hospital for a long time, I guess. But that's all we got. Thank you guys so much for watching and making it to the end of the video today on Top 10 Nerd. My name is Adam Andrews. I will catch you all on the flippy flop, and even if I don't, stay safe and peace out, nerds. Batman has received a few origin stories over the years. The character has been Let me do that again. Like Year One, the Long Halloween takes place over several months. The event was mirrored in Nightwing Volume 4, number 79 from, The event was mirrored in Nightwing Volume 4 from, okay, let me do it again.